I've made changes to my presentation. Okay? I've made changes to my presentation. A couple of things that I wanted to do. I've put it onto a Google Sheet so that you can then go back and you can look at it if you want to. Okay? I was looking at the biggest difference between pedagogy and andragogy is the learning option. Like those 10 standard, optional HOD, right? So andragogy and pedagogy. So andragogy says when you're dealing with adults, give them choice, right? Give them choice. That's why my mother asked me to look at some 30 girls before. Yeah, I finalized. Right? And so, but give people the opportunity and the space to go and find. But what they need to do, essentially, is to decide if they want to do it. So once you take a decision, then you're on your own, right? That's most important. So the first thing I wanted to share very quickly was, do you have this name tag with you? Take it out. Take it out. Oh my God. Okay. All right? So take it out and look at that name card. Look at it. Like seriously look at it. Okay? Look at the name card, and now I want you to know how we all get stuck in that same way of thinking, where we are not thinking using design thinking. What is the first step of design thinking? Remember that word with E? Empathy. That's the first word of design thinking, right? And you're thinking about who? Who are you thinking about? Yourself? Not really, but very close. Very close. Who are you thinking about? Who are you thinking about? Yeah? The organization. You're thinking about the problem. You're thinking about the problem that someone else is facing that you're trying to solve in design thinking. Yes or no? Yes or no? I know it's tough to go after these guys, man. But yes or no, please? Yeah, you're thinking about that problem that you have. The mic is not working? You're thinking about the problem that you're trying to solve for somebody. Okay? What problem were you trying to solve when they asked you to fill up this name card? What problem were you trying to solve? Pardon? To know each other. Who's the prime beneficiary of this identity card? Look at it. Look at your identity cards. Yeah? Who's the prime beneficiary? You. Who? Others or you? Those who say others, say others. Those who say I, say I. People... People say things, तुमको पता है मेरा बाप कौन है? And then we ask, तुमको नहीं पता? You know, the point is, this is not for you, boss. You know your name. You know your name. This is for the other person. Did you think about the other person when you wrote this card? If you did, it would probably be slightly big so that that guy doesn't have to, right, become like a charging bull. You would think about that person. You would care for that person. And you would do things differently. And that's how we get stuck in the rut of doing things exactly the way we were doing it all the time. That is what I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, today. That you have a choice. Every single minute, every single thing that is expected of you to do, you have a choice. You have a choice to design think it or whatever jaldi kar le yaar. That's the chalta hai attitude, right? Right? So that's a small little example of design thinking. If you're a manager, most managers manage resources. They manage the status quo. they don't challenge it. Challenge मेरा काम नहीं है boss. मेरा काम ये है कि मैं कर लूं. But most of us as school principals or school supervisors, we have learned our management. We have learned our CEO. We have learned our boss. We have learned our parents. We have learned our students. I know exactly what they want. उसको कुछ करने का है ना, अरे 4 पेज homework दे दे, खुश हो जाएगा. They have learned our bosses, and slowly and steadily, your standard becomes theirs, and their standard becomes yours. Their standard becomes yours, where you are hitting on approval milna chahiye. Approval milna chahiye. I should get an approval, man. And if you are fighting for just approval, I don't think you're design thinking. I think you need to use your sense of creativity, your sense of empowerment, your knowledge, your passion, your persistence, and your ability to communicate and influence people around you, managing top, to make that change happen. Then, ladies and gentlemen, you are truly the designer of your experience. That is what I wanted to share. Okay? Make sense? Good. Apart from that, I wanted to very quickly get you to this particular link. Please take a look at that link. Please take a photograph of that link if you want, or you can even pull it up on your mobile phones right now. It's online. It's live right now. This link will give you the entire content that I wanted to give you. So I'm still giving it to you, okay? We're using technology to ensure that we can share. So there is bit.do/LSI Mumbai. Do you have your photographs on it? I give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. C'est la vie. This is life, okay? All good things have a time frame to it, okay? What I'm now going to do is I'm going to give out 13 tables or 10 tables, cards. I've made some cards. You want me to compete with that? It's sajish hai. The experience of the session. Enhancing the experience of the session. Yeah. So please, I'm just having fun. So, these are system thinking cards. Okay? This whole world loves reductionism. Kam karo, kam karo, kam karo, kam karo. Yeah? Everyone loves reductionism. It's very important for us as educators, because we're educators, to understand certain principles so that we don't play around with the practices too much. And when you change the practices, you're not affecting the principles too much, okay? So, very quickly, guys, I'm just going to be keeping some, I need some help, somebody running around. So, different tables. And these are system thinking habits, okay? System thinking habits. I think about 10 years ago, I was, 10, 12 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago, I was about 22 years old. And I decided to start a school. And when I started a school, I realized that I need to educate myself to ensure that I can run a school. And one of the training programs that I learned and I invested in is system thinking, okay? So in that session, we were taught the system thinking habits of a system thinker. Somebody, Sonali, very beautifully mentioned that if you want, as Ron and Habib said, success comes from discipline. And discipline comes from habits. And habits can be set up and instilled through routines. So our job as a school leader or principal or teacher is to set up and design those routines that will set these kids up for success. Agree? Disagree? That's what we need to do. Yeah, that's the missing link. How can we set up those routines? Now, on the table, you will find your system thinking cards. They're really beautiful because they share habits for you, okay? And you don't need to read it, you don't need to write it down completely. You can take a photograph of it. You know? You have a smartphone. You can take a photograph. And also, on this document, I have linked that particular, all this is there on that document. So you can actually download and print it off and use it. So please look at these habits. Lay it on your table. Please look at these habits. Okay? And the habits will be this one. Yeah? These are the habits. Can you see these? These are the habits and the consideration questions are behind. Okay? The consideration questions are behind. Please take a look at these habits. I give you about 10 minutes maybe, around 7-8 minutes. Is that all right? 7-8 minutes. Just to quickly look through and see if you use some of these habits when you're taking decisions. Okay? And if there is anyone who when you look at a particular card, if something comes to you, just raise your hand. I'll come and I want to speak to you. And it's only 13, so if 13 people do that, we'll actually kind of go through those cards as well. Anything that comes to mind when you look at the card? Yeah? Which one are you looking at? So the gentleman here says identifying the circular nature of complex cause and effect relationships. Yeah. And look at the questions behind. When you take a decision, do you look at the circular nature? For example, in my school, there was a teacher who said, if a child doesn't get it, I will do reteaching. Everyone said, wow, kitna acha idea hai, right? Because you do the reteaching karega. Not one child will be left behind. America, it's called no child left behind. Superb. So what happened is suddenly we started realizing, before we actually did it, we said what was that? The circular nature is also connected with another behavior called looking for the unintended consequences. Who has that? Unintended consequences. You got it? Unintended consequences. What could be the consequence of this idea? The consequence of this idea could be the children thinking that it's okay if I don't learn it the first time, because later I'll get private tuitions. I'll get individual attention, boss. So slowly, something that you did is actually causing an unintended consequence. And that is dangerous. Right? You have automatically communicated to children that high expectations is not necessary. Let me tell you, in Indian schools, we have very high expectations from our students. It almost comes automatically because of our culture and because of where we are and who we are as a people. In the US, they take training programs for months for teachers trying to tell them high expectations. We already have that going in our community, right? So let's use that. So isn't that a good habit to look at? All right, any other habit? Quickly. I need help here, guys. Help me out. Consider an issue fully. Very, very critical. Please see that any decision you're taking, are you considering all factors? CAF, C-A-F, CAF, okay? Anything else? Any other habit? Let's go, guys. Any other habits? Yeah. Seeks to understand the big picture. How many of you are English teachers here? Have taught English maybe? Have you heard of things like BME, begin with the end in mind? Right? Have you heard of things like SQ3R, survey, question, read, recite, review? Right? The first thing you're doing is, you're surveying. You're looking at the big picture, right? So every decision that you take as a school principal, are you looking at the big picture? Okay, great. Anything else? Anything else that comes to mind? Quickly, yeah. Thank you so much for contributing. Pardon? That would be the title. Okay, I'm going to come back to you in 10 seconds. That's easier, so I'll go with that. With that? Checks, results, and changes. As a system thinker, you need to keep checking results, which actually means, oh, I want to do a one-to-one program in my school. Let me not go buy 1,000 laptops, right? Let me try with 5. Let me extrapolate that data. Okay? So you're checking results and you keep refining that changes. You know, in Hindi, there is this saying which says, Patthar pe lakir. How many of you have heard that? Some people, some principals say, bol diya to bol diya. Bol diya na, bas. Ye card pakdo. Right? So that's where vulnerability comes in. Are you willing to change your position? Are you willing to change your position? And I'm telling you, if you want to change your position, you do the research, you get the data, you change the position. You need to look at yourself as an experimenter. ये try किया नहीं चला, वो try किया नहीं चला. How many of you got married? Marriage is pretty popular. Huh? Good. Right? How many of you in the first week of your marriage, your chapatis were not really, you know, round? Thank you. I thought I was the only freak who cooks. Right? So, नहीं होता है round? Okay. अभी भी नहीं होता है round? हाँ. So slowly and steadily, the learning curve, you know, slowly and steadily we get it right. Right? Or we should be getting it right. So it means that it just takes some time. Let's get more data and let's practice. You become that person who is someone in the school who is that crazy scientist, who's always experimenting, who's trying something new. इसके दिमाग में क्या हो रहा है पता नहीं. But जो भी हो रहा है अच्छा हो रहा है. He's considering everything. Okay? So please get into that mode and that mindset. How many of you want to be in that mode? How many of you? Yeah, it's a great mode. You got to train your brain to think in that particular format. Okay? So that is the habits of system thinking. You can take those cards. Okay? Keep it in your office. Wherever you do your thinking, please keep it there and look through those. Okay? Those are little, little cheat cards for you. We're going next. In the document, there are links to videos from Peter Senge. So you can actually look at those videos. And then there is this, why is this not happening? There is the image that Ron and Habib showed us today in the morning called design thinking, right? And let me see if I can pull that up for you. The design thinking steps, right? Have you seen this before? Of course you have, right? And it's about the first aspect of that is empathy. Empathy, really, really empathy. I want to tell you a personal story. On Sunday, I have 18 visitors who are coming to my house. How many? 18 visitors coming to my house for 3 days. They're my family traveling in from the UK. 18. Yeah, that's not even all of my family. My mom had 17 brothers and sisters. My father had like 14 brothers and sisters, and I flunked in maths. So the whole thing is, it's, you know what I've been doing? I wanted to make them a salt-crusted fish. Gordon Ramsay ka kuch video tha, I saw it, I got excited. Because of the MasterChef happening, I'm very, inspired by all that. And the salt-crusted fish is you have to use 3 kgs of salt, and then, it's a complicated process. I actually tried that twice already. I've actually tried it twice already. So that I want to get it right before they come. So when they come, I want to do it. Right? And it's not about me, boss. It's about how much I care for them. if you deeply and genuinely care for your students and for your teachers, you will solve their problem. I believe that. I have seen my teachers. They have so much difficulty. They are wives, they are mothers, they are teachers, they are sisters, they are brothers, they're everyone. They're working so hard. And almost all of them have surpassed tragedy. How many of you in this room have had tragic moments, difficult moments in your life, and you've surpassed that to be here today? Raise your hands. Look at that. Raise your hands. I mean, really high and proud. Like you are sitting here not because someone's invited you, but because you deserve to be where you are. Look at that. You couldn't have got that. You couldn't have surmounted those problems if you didn't have design thinking in you. It's impossible. You would have tried every single trick in the book to ensure that you would surmount that problem. And that's why you're here today looking bright, sparky, and happy. At 4:45. Think about it, right? Think about it. Rashmi madam, with her work, has represented India in the global arena. Right? And yesterday we had dinner together. And she was saying, you think it was easy? I thought, yeah, I thought it was easy. She was like, she gave me the look saying, yeah. So it's tough. And you have it in you already. You just need to connect to that. And you need to use your free will. You need to exercise your choice. Am I going to be okay with just what is average? Or am I going to set a standard? And the beauty is you've already done it. So proof of the possible is done. Now it's whether you choose to do it or not. Okay? So I want to share with you very clearly one or two things about this process. First, empathize. If you have no empathy, you're not going to really create a permanent solution. You'll create temporary solution, right? Define. Defining a problem. They say, you know, my maths teacher, how he got me to pass? He said, keep staring at the question. Keep staring at the question. 5 minutes if you have to stare at the question, it's okay. है ना, बराबर है ना, madam? You were not my maths teacher. My maths teacher told me. Obviously, it shows teacher education in India, right? No consistency. Anyway, so she said, keep looking at the question because under the question there is always a given. Given x is equal to this. So you see that. And a question, a problem or a question well defined is half solved. It's half solved. Definition, right? Definition. So we really need to look at what is the problem we are solving. So using things like 5 why, right? Going down to the root cause of a problem. And then really solving those root cause. Pimples on my face. Doctor gives me Clearasil for 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks. Pimple doesn't go. Nutritionist comes and says, stop, eating that oily food. Pimples are still there. My wife tells me, you fool. Am I getting recorded? Saying, just use an anti-dandruff shampoo. It's dandruff. I'm like, oh yeah, it goes from here, right? So, you can symptomically solve a problem. You can solve the symptoms, right? And that's why doctors have got lifelong customers. You can solve you can really solve a symptom, or you can solve the cause. But for cause, you have to be Byomkesh Bakshi. You have to go through and you have to look for that. What is that wicked problem? And it's always there. So, at this point, I want to jump in and tell you, ideate is keep talking to people. I don't know if you noticed me, but over the past full day today, I spent some time with Ron and Habib. I said, hey, these are my slides. Is it okay? What do you think? Can we do it better? Can we do it this? I spoke to Avinita madam yesterday. I spoke to Shabi Luthra a couple of hours ago. I spoke to some other people. There was a gentleman who said, I have to go, but let me give you some advice about the session today, right? So we're taking ideas, we're ideating, we're refining, right? We're taking some risks. Today, Ronnie said, come up with an intention. My intention was to take risks, right? Put yourself out there. Take risks. This is a safe place. Are you going to give me 100 crores of funding? No. This is a safe place. Okay? Yeah. Next, prototype. Chota, tiny, little bit, prototype. Try, see, create, chota. Exponate, what is it? Extrapolate. Thank you. Extrapolate, right? Look at it. You don't have to affect so many people just because you got seminared over the weekend. Right? Just have a crack team. Do a little bit of experiments. Take it forward from there. Learn from it. Let people in your team see the process that you follow. Right. If I, as a manager in my school, if I'm always brilliant, and if my team doesn't see what is the process I'm following, I am doing disservice for my organization. That is where the let go is so important. Are you that Fevicol leader? No, no? Thank you. Nobody is, no? Yeah. Huh? Most people are. I should be away from this. Right? But yeah, the Fevicol leadership, right? That's because of two things. One, in organizations like schools, there is no vertical mobility. So you got a place, is it your office? You finally got it, yeah. So when you raised your hand about all those tragic, difficult moments that you surmounted, was this? Sweet is the victory. But yeah, we got to do service to our organization. And we got to set up the process so that the process is what children and our teachers and our teams pick up. Perfect processes and good processes make good people. How many times have you seen in your team you fired a teacher, the teacher went to another school and doing very well, blooming. How many times have you seen it? Have you seen it? Every time. Correct. Yeah? Correct. It's a natural thing. Create leaders. So the point I'm making is the only difference that teacher had in that other school was probably a different process. Probably. Different boss, different process, whatever, probably. So we need to see what is it that we can learn about process. Because processes are what's going to keep you in the long run. Henry Ford was asked a question. What if you lose all this wealth? Sab, gaya, took, gone. Like the way I lose electricity in Vasai every day. Gone, right? How? You know what he said? No problem. 5 years, I'll make it all back. Now that is technology. Not Excel, not Word, not computer. That's technology, huh? Leadership and technology, right? Technology means know-how. Technology means know-how. Technology doesn't mean computer. So basically you're saying that because there were no computers, when they made the pyramids, so there was no technology used to make the pyramids. So there was a lot of technology used, right? The pyramids were about 120 meters or something like that. That is the size of pyramids. And 10,000 people made the pyramids. The Burj Khalifa is 900 something meters, almost a kilometer. How many people made it? Are you going to tell me how many Mallus made it? Malayalis.
Just to make it dramatic.
Let me tell you, it was 10,000 people who made the pyramids and 10,000 people made Burj Khalifa. But the only difference is the result was 10 times greater. So technology, as I heard from Scott, is an amplifier If I'm talking rubbish here, it'll be loud. That's all. Just because I have a mic, it doesn't make me a genius. Right? The technology is an amplifier. So you need to still get it right. Please don't think that guy who was selling Nirma soap before and joined an EdTech company suddenly knows everything about solving your problems in a classroom. He's just excited that he's in a principal's cabin. Insider tips, right? These are insider tips. No one is going to solve your problems. Nobody's even interested. Only you. And that's why, you know what? This is where it's going to hit you. That's why God put you there. So people ask the question, do you trust in God? I ask you the question, do you know God trusts you? And He has put you there. Even God, I think, used design thinking. Absolutely. And what a product. Absolutely. Nature, right? And what a product. And let me tell you, and if you think that you are such a marvelous, just for effect, I'm going to come on stage. If you think you're such a marvelous product, and God is this ultimate designer, I want you to think about it. In the story of creation, according to Christianity, God took 6 days to make the earth. 6 days. I think it was the last day that He made you and me. So even God, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even God took time. For God, He can do it like this, everything. Tuck. But even He took time. We can learn so much from this. Take time. There is no hurry. Take time. Slow is fast. Yeah? Slow is fast. So, now, with your permission, I want to share 2 or 3 things. First of all, you need to say, do I have your permission? Do I have your permission to share what I'm doing in my school about teacher training? Okay, thank you. And about students' empowerment and students using data without even 1 rupee. Okay, now I got you, is it? This is how we used to do teacher training. The biggest problem I used to have is teachers are shifting, teachers are moving, teachers don't have, the right formal qualifications. We can't pay high salaries. We are a low-cost school. We charge less than 15,000 rupees. That's the idea of our school. So we used to do these kind of training programs. How many of you have been part of these kind of training programs? Fantastic. This is what people in those training programs look like. You can't see, only I can see you. Change can't happen. Okay? And now I'm telling you, I've used those 13 habits of a design thinker to create solutions. And I'm going to go really fast because I don't want to show you the solution per se. I just want to show you what it looks like. Okay? Actually, you know what? Before this, let me show you something else. That will be even better. That is for students. Okay? How many of you have heard of flipped classrooms? Show me your hands. Wonderful. Flipped classrooms. How many of you have heard of flipped open days? Some people have heard of flipped open days, right? So, this is what your exam paper looks like. This is what your exam paper looks like. Answer sheet. Madam, I know your answer sheet will be full, nice, nicely written. But when it comes to you, it is like this? Or it's not like this? Oh, God did bless you on your answer sheet. Somebody give him some love, right? Okay, so this is what our answer sheets used to look like when I was in school. And I'll tell you one day what happened. I'll tell you the problem. I was walking inside the school and there was an open day. How do I know there is an open day? Every teacher is wearing the best sari possible. I look at the teacher and say, ye sari kahan mila aapko? Bolta naya hai. It's the latest and the best sari, right? She wears that. Because the open day and the report day is about the teacher. Okay? And then what happened? This is what happens in every classroom time and again. The teacher shows the report card. Child looks at the report card. Parent looks at the report card. Tuck! One slap to the kid. Happens in my school. Parent marta hai. What do I do at that time? I can't do anything. So far, so good. But you know where the problem is? That student looks at me and he gives me the worst look possible. He says, you didn't save me. You created that incident. He looks at me like I have disowned him. And I can't take that. Because God certainly blessed me. And I'm accountable to that. So, I have to then use my system thinking skills, look at the 13 different habits, and this is what I did in my school after that incident. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see it? Okay. This is what the answer sheet used to look like that got that kid a jhapad. This is what it looks like right now. This is what it looks like right now. All these slides are also on that document for you to download. Okay? The teachers do the same amount of work. No, nothing different. The students then make a learning sheet. They sit down and they look at it and they say, how much marks did I get in this question? How much marks did I get in that question? They make a document. Then they make another sheet over here which says question 1 kaun sa chapter se aaya? Question 2 kaun sa chapter se aaya? In that, which concept it came? Who's doing the work? The students are doing the work. Nobody else. Students are doing the work. And then he puts a little check mark. Mila ki nahi mila. Got it or not? Hit or miss. Then he writes my hits. Then he writes my misses. Then this is the inside sheet of the question paper. As you can see, there's no cost involved. Then he writes how many mistakes he got in spellings, grammar, formula, punctuation, whatever. We've asked the teacher, just put one error code so that the kid will know, and he writes that. Then he makes an error analysis sheet. What are my errors? What is it that is, putting me off? Then he puts a target. He writes a target. My next exam ka target ye hoga. This is what my target is. Then he takes another graph sheet, 25 paisa. He takes a graph sheet and he makes a graph. He makes a graph of his score. Then he sits down and he calculates the average. And madam, I have to sit with you after this to better this process. Version 2 mere ko aapke chehre pe hi dikh raha hai. Okay? Then he takes an average of the class. He learns averaging. He puts it there. Then he learns to negotiate. He says, we need a higher average, but you are really good at maths. Can you increase your score higher so that our average can be higher? They start understanding behavior over time graphs. They start understanding systemic variables. That is making data visible. Then they use this sheet. In this sheet, they write what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, who can they help, who can they get help from. Here they talk about their plan of action. I joined the gym 6 times. Kuch nahi hua. Because you have to go to it also. Right? So no use of having a goal. You need to make a plan. You need to make a plan. You need to do it. Right? Okay? Then, now here he takes 2 columns. In first column he writes father, mother, uncle, auntie, brother, sister, whoever, bhai, bahan, tuition teacher. And then he writes what support I need from that. Mummy, 8 baje serial band. Whatever. Right? In his ways. Or any way he rationalizes it. Then they sign a 3-party agreement, student, teacher, parent. Then one day, this is what it looks like after every examination in our school. Kids start sitting together and they work together. They open the answer sheet and the textbook. They try to find the error. You know what I used to do when I got my marks? I used to do totaling because I know ye teacher ka hamesha totaling mein mistake hota hai. Do you want your children to not even trust you for counting? Come on, they can do better than that, right? Here, elder kids are talking to younger kids about how to make the graph. Why are you doing this? Right? What are the skills that you learn? Then they move forward. Here you can see more of that happening. So there is, elder kids teaching younger kids. Then you know what they do? They take all the furniture in our school and they drag that furniture to the terrace because that's the only open space that we have. And you know what they do then? They do this. I'll give you 500 rupees if you can tell me who the teacher is. 1,000 rupees. I'm feeling confident. 3,000 rupees. 5,000 rupees. Who is the teacher? Bahut paisa hai. Teacher is not here. There are kids here. There are kids here and there are their own parents. And you will see that every kid has an agenda. Right? Who do you think is in charge? Yeah, the kid is in charge. Who do you think is trying desperately to understand? I got her. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Right? I got her. I got her in the position that I want her. Bhai, samjha mujhe. Yes. It doesn't. A lot of things happen at home. They say charity begins at home, but it doesn't. That's the problem. That's a problem. And the beauty is now that you saw it, it might happen at home. But now that you saw it, let me answer that question to you in a very superb way. I asked my mother, why should I go to church every Sunday, why should I go to church? You know what was my argument? God is the same everywhere. Correct, no? God is the same everywhere. Why should I go to church? But mother, hai na? Right? You know what she said? God is the same everywhere, but you're not the same everywhere. Right? You're not the same everywhere. Okay, so now look at this. This is what has happened. That kid is surprised. That's the power of design thinking. That's the power of design thinking. Okay, so the process is set. More than 10 or 15 schools came to our school. They saw us doing this and they've started doing this in their schools. I'm not there. Nobody even knows about me. But they're doing it. And probably another 30 schools will follow in the next 3 months. It's so simple. Imagine how many such inefficiencies are there in our system, which you yourself are standing over and signing and authorizing. Just look, just reflect, and redesign. It's so easy. It's not difficult, especially for you. Okay? I'm going to stop with that. But the other teacher thing, the teacher training thing is phenomenal. It's online. You can take a look at it. Thank you so much for listening to me. .5-minute song which our students, teachers, and myself has written. Yes. So Shabhi can actually set up. Okay. We were thinking, how can we teach value education to our children? And so we came up with certain things which I picked up from some other school as well. It's called anchor statements. So our school has anchor statements, and these are the anchor statements of our school. Basically 3. No excuses, only choices. Results equal to commitment. Every second learning. These are the 3 anchor statements of our school, and we made a song for that. So while Shabhi is setting up, I'll just play that song for you. It's also available on YouTube, so you can take a look and you can download. Alright? Okay, so the 3 anchor statements, and then we made this song, and this is a way for us to communicate to our children what we are about, and parents.
जिंदगी ने सिखाया हमें सबक तो कई हर एक इतिहास तुम अपना रचो, कुछ करना है अब करो, आगे बढ़ना है बढ़ो, खुद को अब तुम ना रोको, कुछ करना है अब करो, अब करो करो। बाहर रोशनी जो कम है क्या हुआ, उजाला मन में कभी कम ना करना, उम्मीदों पे ही तो है सबको चलना, सपनों को समेटे अब आगे बढ़ना, अब आगे बढ़ना।
And this song is available on YouTube. It doesn't have our full name. Please do use it. What did you want? Shabi. They're all very good.